You know what? Excellence is what you want, and excellence is what you get. How are you living? What are you giving? If excellence is what you see, then excellent is who you be. What are you pursuing?
Hello, 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 beloved. Dr. Catherine E. James here, bringing you For the Love of It, a weekly show designed with the sole purpose of bringing more love into the world, of adding more love in the world, one episode at a time, one episode at a time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing your precious time with me. I am grateful. I am so totally grateful to have you to join me now. I appreciate your time. I understand that time is one of the things in life we don't get more of. And so, since you have chosen to spend it with me, I am so totally grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I absolutely love engagement. Love, 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 love engagement. I love engagement. And so I am inviting you to engage today. You can call in. So you can call in to 313-868-4336, 313-868-0351, or 313-868-0342. So pick up the phone, call in, and we will take your calls. For the Love of It, the name of the TV show, will take on many forms, beloved. But everything we do will be anchored in Luke 10:27, and that is love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all of your strength, your soul, and your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Now, that last part, Papa doesn't expect us to love our neighbor just a little bit. What do you think? So let me ask you this question. Now, I made a statement, but let me ask you a question. Do you think? So I call God Papa. Do you think Papa expects us to love our neighbor just a little bit, just a teensy bit? Nope, I don't think so. I think he expects that we would love our neighbor and abundant a lot. And so you can't give what you don't have. If you don't have it, you can't give it. So Papa expects us to love ourselves a lot, a whole lot, in abundance, right? So that we have that to love our neighbor with. So we can't give what we don't have. So, beloved, that last part that will inform everything that we do. Loving ourselves as ourselves, our self-love. So, each conversation that we facilitate, all the tools and strategies that we share, the guests that we have on the show, and the actions that I invite you to take will all lead back to the assumption provided in Luke 10:27, and that is that you and I would love ourselves well. What do you think about that? What do you think about the notion of being intentional about loving yourself well? That's what we do. So, well enough to live, right? Not just well, right? We're going to define what well looks like here. Well enough to live as the highest, fullest, and truest versions of ourselves. Well, in that way, that we're living as the highest version, the truest version, and the fullest version of ourselves. Beloved, imagine the possibilities that become available for us when all of us, when the masses are living, asking ourselves the question of, what does it look like for me to be the fullest version of me in this situation? How would the highest version of me show up to this encounter? And what does it mean to be true to me, the truest version of myself right now? So that's what I believe that Luke 10:27 invites us to. The ask ourselves, ask thyself, that invites us to that. So it doesn't have to be, and to get the benefit, we don't even have to totally fulfill it. But just imagine what it's like to live that journey, to be on the journey towards living as the highest, fullest, and truest version of ourselves. So again, call in. We are awaiting your calls. We know last week that we weren't quite ready for it, and so we had Devira to call in last week. But I'm inviting you all to call in that we can have an ongoing, engaging conversation at 313-868-4336. You see the numbers at the bottom, 313-868-0351 for those of you who might be listening, and for 313-868-0342. So, Welcome to episode 2 of For the Love of It. And this episode is entitled Self-Love, a Deeper Dive. Look, everything that we talk about moving forward, we are going to be talking about this notion of self-love. So I decided let's help the listeners and the viewers to have a deeper understanding of what that looks like, of what I mean when I say self-love. So think about this. Since everything is going to be informed by this, let me tell you what it is not. So we're going to go from the back end. What it is not. Self-love is not selfishness. It is not selfishness. So certainly, over the years, so I've been on this self-love journey since 2010. And over the years, as I began to have this discussion around self-love, the question has come up about, does this mean selfishness? Does loving myself really lead to selfishness? And there's a big, huge no. No, not, never, nada. Absolutely not. It does not. Because love in and of itself can never lead to selfishness. Not if it's love. If something is leading to selfishness, it's something else. It is not love. So let's just talk about what it is not. Self-love is not selfishness for me to make sure that my needs are met. That is not selfishness. It is not selfishness for you to tend to and to quench your own thirst. That is not selfishness. It is not selfishness for you to take care of you first, or me to take care of me first. That is absolutely not selfishness. Like we're told this on the airplane. Put the mask on you first in the event that something happens, right? We're instructed to do it by lifeguards. If a lifeguard goes out there and a person is fighting the rescue, they're going to release them so that they can take care of themselves in order to be available to take care of the other people. And just like first responders, when what they do is when they're going into an environment, they suit up first. They don't suit up the other people first. They suit up themselves first so that they're available to tend to others. Now, let me paint a picture of selfishness. So listen, I'm inviting you to listen. Let me paint this picture of selfishness. It is my neglect of me so selfishness is me neglecting me and then you having to care for me. That's selfishness. Selfishness is my failure to tend to my need and leaving that responsibility to others. That's selfishness, beloved. Selfishness is your or my refusal to work on loving me and expecting you to fill the void that can never, ever be filled by someone else. And then having the audacity to be upset with you, in spite of all of your best efforts, I still don't feel loved enough. Beloved, that's the ultimate selfishness, is us neglecting to take care of ourselves and being mad at other folk when they can't feel a void that's impossible for them to feel. If you're not loving you well, it doesn't matter how much someone loves you. That void is going to always be there. It will never be enough. It will be like a hole in the bottom of a cup. You can pour in it all day and all night, but if you're not loving you well, it's just going to pour out. It's just going to pour out. So, you loving you, me loving me as selfishness, that's pure foolishness. Think about it. So for us to tell other people that loving them is selfishness, that's foolishness, right? Again, the ultimate in selfishness is you failing to love you, me failing to love me, and us expecting others to do what only we can do, and then holding them responsible for the absence of love in our life due to the lack of our own action. I'm pausing, therefore, on purpose, because I want us to hear that. And this is not a judgment. I need you to know that this is not a judgment. This is just an observation that I'm inviting you to more or less self-love. Okay. Because the truth of the matter, as I shared on the first episode, is that no one can love us enough to fill the void of us loving ourselves sufficiently. No one can love us enough to fill the void of us loving ourselves sufficiently. Ultimately, this is an inside-out job. And that's the good news, beloved. That's the good news. Imagine if we had to depend on everybody else to love us for us to have love in our lives. Then our lives would be totally dependent upon us. So we're talking about this self-love journey. And so I'm going to keep it going because I want to build a foundation here. Look. So I'm trying to get to this part here. So I show up in many ways. I show up in many ways. Let's see if I can find that part where I talk about how I show up and what you will likely to get from me. So, well, maybe it's on the. Let me keep going here. Let me keep going. But let me just talk about it like this. I show up as a professor, as a teacher, as a preacher, as a self-love coach, as a freedom conductor, and we'll talk about that one day. And those titles evolve over time. And so you're going to get all of that in our time together on for the love of it. You're going to get the pastor, you're going to get the teacher, you're going to get the professor, you're going to get the coach, you're going to get all of that. All of that culminates today to what I like to refer to as a midwife for the soul. My life's intention is that every soul would know love, every soul would know love and would know that they are loved, that every soul would know love and know that they are loved. So this is not a judgment when I'm talking about our failure to love ourselves and then being upset with others when they can't love us enough to fill the void. It is an observation. And if you need help with you loving you, well, I've been created for this very purpose. I have been created for this very purpose. So look, I'm going to take a moment and just celebrate how we've been created and the reasons that we've been created for. Now, I know right now I don't have direct feedback unless you call in. So I'm inviting you to call in. I don't have direct feedback, but I want to celebrate you. So I want to celebrate what the reasons that we've been created. Like, do you know that at the moment of your creation, now we did this last time, at the moment of your creation, you got a portion of Abba's breath that no one in the entire universe ever got. At the moment of your creation, you got a portion of Papa's breath. But let me tell you what you also got. You got some ingredients that are unique to you. There is not another one of you in the entire universe. Not another one of you. And that's the point of celebration, right? That's a point that I want to celebrate. That there's not another one of me and there is not another one of you. When we get that, beloved, when we get that, we approach life differently. When you get that what you bring to the universe that no one else can bring, we approach life differently. There's this question that I heard so much because I also function as a therapist, but this is not therapy. This is not therapy, okay? And so we've got a phone call, so we're going to take the phone call and we'll continue to go. Caller, you're on the line.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Who are we speaking with?
Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. It's wonderful to hear from you. Lisa, you had Lisa from New Jersey?
Yes.
Hello, Lisa from New Jersey. Do you have a question for us or a comment?
I do. So my question today is, would it be selfish if I expect someone to love me as I love myself?
If you expect someone to love you as you love yourself?
As I love myself. Would that be selfish of me to expect that?
Yeah, I think it's unrealistic because first of all, like we can't love other people the same. Like it just doesn't exist. And so what they have to give is what they have to give. So I would say it's unrealistic and it certain can lean towards selfishness if we're demanding that of them. The expectation, though, can be very, very problematic because this is the thing, Lisa, that people can only give what they have to give. And when we expect them to give more, we often leave ourselves in a very difficult position. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
No, no.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for calling. I appreciate you engaging. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yes, I appreciate you. Thank you. And you look absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. All right. All right. We got our first, well, no, this is our second call. So Devere was our first call. Lisa was our second call. Yay. Celebration, celebration, celebration. All right, beloved. All right. All right. So this is not judgment. But if you need help, I've been created to help us love ourselves. And you've been created with a very unique way of showing up in the universe. So I want to celebrate that. And so again, if you need help, stay this episode, stay tuned to this episode because I'm getting ready to go into the whole self-love growth model. Stay tuned to this episode. And then there's some resources that I'll always offer some resources. That's a teacher in me. I'll always offer resources, and I'll mention that later in the show. And so by the way, I think here's the disclaimer that I was looking for earlier. I have had the privilege of serving as a professor, a teacher, a preacher, a therapist, a self-love coach, and the Freedom Conductor. Now, more about the Freedom Conductor later. The titles continue to evolve as I evolve, and all of these currently culminate to serving as a midwife for the soul. So let's talk about the self-love growth cycle. Look, in November of 2010, this was downloaded into me by Papa. I had just finalized my dissertation, my PhD dissertation, sitting at my desk at work, and downloaded was the chapters to the self-love. So this is the book, Self-Love, The Gift You Give Yourself. This was my first solo publication. And you can get this on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and things like that. So this is the model is in this book. But in November 2010, Papa downloaded these chapters. And so I'm getting ready to go through them. Self-exploration is the first chapter. It's taking the courageous journey of looking into every aspect of you, your history, your current state, your thinking, your feeling, your behavioral patterns, hopes, dreams, regrets, preferences, relationships, strengths, challenges, areas, everything, looking into taking that courageous journey. Look at all of you, beloved. Look at all of you. A sober look. Then the next level of courage is whatever you discover, taking that sober look at all that was revealed, unearthed, or confirmed, and honoring it. The third step is self-acceptance. This is the no judgment time. Here is where you say it is what it is. But built into that question is not acquiescing. It is then asking yourself, now what? What next? What's my next best step? Then there's self-forgiveness. Grace is paramount in this stage, in this moment. Know that at any given time, we're all doing our very best. And look, I'm going to do an episode just on that statement. At any given time, everyone is doing the best that they can. Now, some people's best can be real problematic for us, but I'll unpack that later. And we've heard this statement lots of times. When we know better, we do better. But I like to add to knowing is not intellectual. I know that I shouldn't eat chocolate every day, all day. But sometimes I want to. Sometimes I do. All right. So it's not a head, but it's a heart. And when we do better, we learn to release and let it go. And then the final go round is self-appreciation and celebration. Know that you are God's unique contribution to the universe. Beloved, you are God's unique contribution to the universe. I'm going to say it again. You are God's unique contribution into the universe. Take time to identify and appreciate your uniqueness, intentionally celebrating the gift that you are. All right. So here's where we stop and we recite the self-love mantra. Here's where we stop and we recite the self-love mantra. I am an irreplaceable, unrepeatable, remarkable miracle with my own special brand of brilliance. Say it with me. I am, or repeat after me, whichever way. If you write it down, you can say it with me. I am an irreplaceable, unrepeatable, remarkable miracle with my own special brand of brilliance. One more time, beloved. I am an irreplaceable, unrepeatable, remarkable miracle with my own special brand of brilliance. Okay? Let me break that down a little bit. Irreplaceable. You are impossible to replace. There is no machinery, no technology, no man-made anything that can replace you. You are unrepeatable, not able to be done again. I'm just saying. You're remarkable. You are uncommon, extraordinary, beloved. You are a miracle, a surprising and welcomed event. That's who you are. That's who I am. I've been put on this earth to remind you of that. Now, let's say it again. We are an unrepeatable, an irreplaceable, unrepeatable, remarkable miracle with our own special brand of brilliance. You're brilliant in your own unique way. So I need you to name this week, tell yourself how you're brilliant. Some of us are brilliant in cooking. That's not me. Some of us are brilliant in talking. That is me. Some of us are brilliant in dancing. I'm pretty good at that too. Some of us are brilliant all kind of ways. How are you brilliant? Say it out loud right now, wherever you are. It doesn't matter. Well, if you're in the place that you don't need to be, you know, take care of your business. Do what you need to do. Now back to the self-love growth model. As you notice, I like having fun, and I have fun by myself all the time. This morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, I was doing hustles in my office. Jam. Yes, I was. I was doing hustles in my office. Now, back to the self-love growth model. This model, exploration, discovery, acceptance, forgiveness, appreciation, and celebration, is a cyclical process designed to take us into deeper levels of self-love. So in the book, I talk about my weight. And I talk about it, and so I'm just going to read this right quick. I say, my main point is this. Being overweight in no way changes my value. At this point, I was probably 100 pounds overweight when I wrote this book. I am valuable. I am as valuable as anyone. Even those who've never had half my size. Although I would like to be smaller, and I am. I've dropped about 81 pounds. I wouldn't love myself if I were smaller. When I look in the mirror, now I love the woman who looks back at me. When I finally lose the weight and keep it off, I'm learning to keep it off. If y'all got some tips, send it to selflove@drkatherinejames.com. I will look in the mirror and love me more when I learn to keep it off. However, the increased love will not be because I've lost weight, beloved. It will be because I've continued to do my self-love work. I've lost weight, but because I continue to do, that's it. As long as I do the work, I will learn to love me better. Whether this is a 300 plus pounds or somewhere around my goal weight of 185. But since I've gotten smaller, I realize I don't want to be 185. I'll take 195, 193. I like the size I am. I'm just saying. So my top weight was 318 pounds. And my lowest weight on this journey has been 217 pounds, or after my birthday, I picked up a few pounds. So at any rate, the maintenance part is where I am, and I invite you to help me with that journey because I'm learning. Self-love in action is accepting, valuing, and embracing one's entire self, which activates towards the awareness of the needing to continually change for the better. Another way of saying this is self-love motivates us towards living as our fuller, higher, and truer selves. Accepting, valuing, and embracing are necessary preconditions. We need to be able to do this in order to change and sustain change. As your ability to accept, value, and embrace, all of you, we say sometimes the good, bad, and the ugly, right? The past, the present situations, the current ways of beings, accepting all of you, more of you will increasingly become available for positive change. The more that you are accept and value and embrace yourself, more of you is available for change. Look, simply put, the energy used to engage in rejecting, minimizing, and excluding your parts deemed problematic or non-beneficial is better used by directing it towards becoming the next best version of yourself. And all of this is saying These are the ways we beat ourselves up, by rejecting ourselves, by saying we should have, we ought to, we supposed to. Look at you, you done gained 20 pounds. Look at you, you don't. No, 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 no. That energy doesn't work. It doesn't work. Use that energy to help you go in the direction you want to go in. Focus on where you want to go, not where you have been. Don't ignore the past, but review it sufficiently enough as to not repeat that which does not serve you, beloved. Mainly, however, give your energy towards becoming the best next magnificent version of you. We know what we know when we know it. Extending our grace to ourselves is absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary. Right? So it's imperative that we refuse to hold our younger self hostage. So I got just a couple of more things here as we wrap up this portion. We know what we know when we know it. So it's imperative that you don't hold your younger self. You know how we say, I should have known this, I should have done this, I ought to have done this, I was supposed to have done this. Look, beloved, you can't do what you don't know to do. So you got to give yourself grace. Now, consequences are as they are. They just simply will be. But if you beat your younger self up, your current self is going to struggle. You got to give your younger self grace, because if you're looking at her from the vision, the lenses of where you are right now, it does not work. It does not work. She didn't know what you know, so you got to give her grace. And then living from the runneth over place. The 23rd Psalm speaks to living a life more than enough. In this, self-love asserts that the cup belongs to you. So these are foundational principles to self-love. The cup belongs to you, and it is not to be shared. That's what self-love asserts. Not sharing our cup is not selfish, but it's responsible. My belief is that our cup is not to be shared, and it is to be continually replenished so that there is a steady overflow. We do share, but not from the cup. We share from the overflow place, which is our saucer. All right. Okay. And so I invite you to be in action. Whatever it is that you need to commit yourself to, make sure that you commit yourself to it, beloved. And supporting your self-love growth is that piece. And so when we truly know this, we stop looking at others for approval. That can only come from within. We stop dimming our lights. We stop apologizing for our genius. And we understand that our superpower can be our kryptonite. And which means that we work on our stuff because we're all we have. So, beloved, love always wins. And so understanding that adding more value in the world is so important, I want to stop and recognize Miss Lisa Ford for being the sponsor of this episode. Her sponsorship helps to add more love in the world. Be in action, beloved. 34%. If you only are inspired, you only have a 34% chance of reaching your goal. If you give a plan, you've got a 91% of reaching your goal. If you share your plan with someone, there's a 99% of reaching your goal. So I'm inviting you to be in action towards your goal, and to my life's intent is that every soul would know love and know that they are loved. So more love, please. Go to drkatherineejameswright.com, click on the 60th birthday party picture, and join the More Love Please movement. Join the More Love Please by donating $13 a month, by loving you first, by sponsoring an episode of $150 a month. Join the movement, right? But more than anything, if you don't do anything else, love you more, love you thoroughly, love you completely. Join the movement. Okay, as we wrap it up, remember to get the book Self-Love and/or forgot the name of my new book. What's the name of my new book? Freedom is Our Birthright. Make sure you get that book. Join me on all my social medias. And of course, tune in here this time next week, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time. Join the conversation, which will always be in some way fulfilling the assumption of Luke 10:27. Remember, the conversations, tools, and strategies offered on this show is not intended as a substitute for official mental health practice. If you need service, be sure to seek out mental health practice. Martin Luther King said, everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject or verb agree to serve. You don't have to know Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics in physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. You can be that servant. This has been Dr. Catherine E. James serving you for the love of it at WHPR TV Detroit. Have an amazing day, beloved. I will see you next week, same place, same time.
You know what? Excellence is what you want, and excellence is what you get.